What's up, dude? It's good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
You looking good.
You looking good too.
Thanks.
Per usual, per usual.
Heck yeah, dude. Yeah, like I appreciate how stylish you are. You know what I mean?
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, bro. I just like to express my physical body that I'm in. Just like to decorate it and shit. You as well, though. You're always sporting some fresh shit.
Thanks.
Good shit.
Yeah, it's trippy. You got like those like metal spikes out of your hood.
Oh yeah, I put these in myself actually. Actually, I painted and designed the whole hoodie.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't do it with like all my clothes. I'm gonna try to do it more. Actually, the line I'm coming out with for everblack, it's all gonna be DIY shit by me. So
Heck
it's
yeah.
like people will be buying my merch, but it's also like gonna have like my fucking energy because I like literally DIY'd it. I put the bleach on it. I painted it. Like it's all gonna be made by me. So no, I think it's a cool idea. I want to see how people receive that shit. But yeah, no, I love DIY shit, man. Like just on like anything, just like just stress it, cut it up, paint it, adds like some fucking studs or spikes like this shit, patches, just any of that shit. It's like custom
Yeah,
shit
dude.
that you can do yourself.
That's what's up. Yeah, I remember you invited me that one time over to Kenny's place. You're like, "Hey, we're gonna DIY some stuff. Like, come through."
Yeah,
And yeah, you were like, I didn't do anything that night, but you guys were like drawing on your shirts and stuff while I was making beats on that computer.
yeah, yeah. No, I love DIY shit.
What do you wanna talk about?
Bro, we can talk about anything. What do
I
you want
know.
to talk about?
There's okay, so I don't know, like uh like occult things, just like magical things that are like hidden, like the Kabbalion. Like I don't
Oh,
know, like is that
yeah,
like
Fallen.
yeah, yeah, that one.
Yeah, bro. Okay. So we'll basically like almost we can have like almost like an introduction conversation for an audience that's like I guess relatively unfamiliar with this shit. So it's more like an introduction and like kind of opens a lot of people up. Do you want to go that route?
I don't know. I'm pretty good with the flow. Yeah, let's go for it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, we can do whatever. Yeah, man. Okay, so a cult shit.
Yeah, that means that
Um,
like hidden.
yeah. So like then that contains like esoteric knowledge, hermetic principles, all that magic rituals, other dimensional shit, like just everything. um I think it's an easy rabbit hole to go down once you have like adequate interest and motivation. Like it's pretty easy to like find information on this shit.
I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember like how you were kind of introduced to this like world or this, you know what I mean, like this topic?
Oh, like how me personally, like how I became interested in it.
Yeah.
Um, there's always been a draw, like an inclination, purely like attraction shit. Like I just like felt the draw. I just felt like I just knew. Like it's just like an inner knowing that's like it's like just so appealing to me. Ever since like I was a kid, actually. Um, and it like even in the forms of like you pass by someone doing like palm reading at a booth, or you pass by like a psychic, um or just like anything, even seeing like that shit referenced in movies or like TV or the internet. Like as a kid, I just had like an inclination, but I didn't get into it as a kid. It's pretty recent, like I want to say like a few years ago. Like a few years ago sounds about right. Like three-ish years ago is when I really started to get into it. But
Yeah,
yeah, I feel like people can get into it in so many ways, man. It's like so many different paths to the same place.
yeah, like the same kind of knowledge or the those same like philosophies. I remember
Yeah.
like what I was in a Wikipedia rabbit hole one day.
I've been down those. Those are good.
And I discovered this fool named Aleister Crowley. And
Oh, Aleister Crowley.
yeah, Aleister Crowley, that dude.
Yeah, he wrote
And
the Book of Law and like Magic.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that guy was super smart, man. His work is crazy, crazy good. Um, regarding Crowley though, there's always like he's very smart. He knew a lot. He discovered a lot. Um, and there's always intent, man. It's always like you can learn anything, but it's always really it comes down to the intent and like how you want to use that information. Um, and you could use it under. I mean, it's a pretty fucking like dualistic term, but like good and evil. It's much more, black, not black and white. It's much more gray than that. I don't think things can really fall completely into good or completely into evil. There's always like that middle ground, and like, shit can get mixed up. But yeah, man, I think just like any knowledge can be beneficial and can be used in positive ways.
Oh yeah, dude, definitely. What you're talking about, how like it's not just like black and white, like good and evil.
Yeah,
That's one of the principles in the Kabbalion, is the principle of polarity. Like
yeah,
like
yeah,
there's hot and cold, but it depends on like what your reference of hot is. Like the room could be like 80 degrees and that could be hot, but it's cold compared to the temperature of the sun or the temperature of like an
exactly.
oven.
And using that same example, you can also like um, pinpoint your labeling of hot and cold as to like what are you perceiving temperature as? Are you perceiving it in a human body, for instance? Are you perceiving it in a different body outside of a body? Um,
Whoa.
I think it could come down to so many things, but right now we're in human bodies. We're living this shit. But yeah, it's like the point of reference is essential in like, determining shit like that. Not just hot and cold, but good and evil. But we can just try our best at the end of the day, man.
I never thought about it that way, the point of reference.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's big because, bro, like everyone has a different point of reference. It's like everyone grew up a different way. Everyone I believe we have many lifetimes. Some of us more than others. Some of us have lived more lifetimes than others. But for that example, like people bringing in information from past lifetimes, it's like within their soul, not like like literal information they can pull right now. Like actually, that depends, because you can you can really you can go back with meditations and whatnot. There are methods to like kind of um, pull skills from past lifetimes and whatnot.
That
I'm
reminds
talking.
me of like
Like,
Avatar Airbender. You ever watch Airbender?
I've watched a couple of episodes as a kid. It was good shit. It was good shit.
Heck yeah, dude. He would do like at certain times, like Aang would see his past lives, like the previous Avatar incarnations, and they would like give him like guidance and like knowledge or whatever it was, or like, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
the different point of reference.
yeah, no, it's good shit, man. That's real shit. But yeah, no. Point of reference, like how you grew up, um, what your like soul beliefs are. So it's like not even this lifetime, but like prior, and like all that you are outside of this lifetime. Social conditioning is a big one, huge one actually. Um, just any kind of conditioning, man. Like just everything that you're exposed to, except like the first several years of your lifetime are huge, man,
Oh
in
yeah.
conditioning you. Like the first 7 years, when you're a kid, I believe
You're like getting programmed.
yeah, I believe your brain is, I want to say alpha or delta. I want to say delta. Your brain is in the delta stage, but I could definitely be wrong.
Does that mean
Um,
like you're in like a similar like dream kind of state?
the first 7 years of like a human life, like when you're like that young, the first 7 years, your brain is in, like, I forget the label. I think it's delta. It could be alpha. But essentially what that means is like it's hypnotic. So you're retaining information like no other in those first 7 years. Is really like you're a fucking sponge, man. Like that's why it's those first several years are so essential, dude. And like it plays a huge role in like the rest of someone's life. Those conditioning years, those spongy years where you absorb so much, like that shit stays with you, man, in your subconscious. Not just like it's not shit that you're conscious of. Like your subconscious plays your reality, man.
Your your subconscious plays your reality.
Yeah, more than your conscious, for sure.
Oh yeah, like we have this certain kinds of like belief systems and programs that kind of that drive us that we may not be totally aware of.
Hmm. Yeah, and we ourselves, we're so much more than our conscious brain than what we can like consciously perceive of. I believe we're so much more than that as well.
Oh yeah, like the brain is kind of like an expression of the other, of like what you're talking about.
Yeah. Um and also like us right now, and I'm a believer that we have higher selves and we are a fragment of our higher selves at this moment in time, like in
Whoa.
this human body,
What do you mean
in
a
this
fragment
lifetime.
of our higher selves?
So the term higher self kind of refers to it's a belief that you have a bigger part of yourself. Actually, it's been described as like what you are right now, like what you can perceive right now in this human body in like this lifetime. That's like a fingernail of what you really are. And so
Wow.
the rest of that body is your higher self essentially. And your higher self can have many different like fragments. So it could be living as like Omar right now, but it could also be living as a different human being on this earth right now as well. And
The
that's
other fingernail.
yeah, that's actually the term twin flame. So a twin flame is a very it's like a soul's counterpart.
Whoa.
There's also the term you've heard soulmate, and that's like a different fragment, but it's not a necessary counterpart. It's a different fragment of that higher self, but it's still a soulmate. And then there's a hybrid term for it's like a mix between twin flame and a soulmate, but I forget that one.
That's a trip,
And
dude.
yeah,
Like a fragmented higher self. I kind of see it as like a there's like one tree but many fruit. You know what I mean?
yes, and it all goes all those trees go back to one tree, and that's like that is source. That is like
Mm.
creation itself, the source of creation, everything.
Oh yeah, dude. It's
Yeah,
beautiful to like tap into. We can tap into that with like focusing on our breath and like certain meditations and stuff.
yeah, man. Meditations are great. Conscious breathing is great. So yeah, like breathing exercises. It's even cool to incorporate both. So
Oh
like
yeah.
prior to meditation, you're doing these breathing exercises and it gets you almost like in the zone, and then you meditate. And it's like I feel like it allows for deeper meditation sometimes.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like
Yeah.
the an interesting way to like link it all together is our body is our subconscious or our unconscious, and our breathing is going on like all the time. So when you do conscious breathing or you do like breathing exercises like the pranayama practices, then that gets you on that level of your body, of the subconscious, of the like unconscious, and then from there you can start to rewire those like those things that were maybe like wired during that spongy stage or just like over life in general.
Yeah, man. It's almost like you can apply that to anything. Like if you're more conscious about anything that you're doing, you're more believe you're more focused. Like and breathing is I think a huge thing that people will like kind of overlook or I'm gonna use the word overlook is that conscious breathing exercises and conscious breathing. It seems so fucking simple to where like you would almost toss it aside. It's like, oh, it's just breathing. Like if you were unfamiliar with the practices and like have felt have felt the effects yourself and become familiarized with it. But really I urge everyone to try try like any conscious breathing, or the Wim Hof method is also a good one. I know you and
Heck
I have
yeah.
like kind of talked about that for a bit. He's
I
got
did
some
three
really cool.
rounds this morning.
Fuck yeah, fuck yeah, Nux. Yeah,
Yeah,
man. Like
anybody
anyone.
listening that's interested, you can just like go on YouTube and search Wim Hof breathing or like pranayama breathing or just breathing exercises, and then
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
he also has an app, so you could even just fucking download his app on the App Store. But the whole thing is like, yeah, conscious breathing. So what conscious breathing really refers to is like at any point in the day you can be doing this. You can be doing this when you're driving your car. You can be doing this at work. You can be doing this before you sleep. Any fucking time. It's just basically being aware of your breathing and focusing on your breathing. And it's not shallow breath either. I really like, you got to take those deep breaths. And
Deep into
there,
like your hips and your tummy.
yeah, and there's a lot of visualization methods that I would recommend pairing with that. And it's almost like entertain the concept that air is not just air. There's energy in air, and there's like, it's really good energy. It's referred to as prana, and it's fresh life force energy. They're even like the viewers, you yourselves can probably, if you think back, there are places on earth where there is more abundant fresher prana, like the ocean, like the beach. If you can recall like times you've been at the beach and how like fresh that feels, like that's part of the reason is there's a lot of like good fucking prana like around beaches. I know you and I live close to the beach, so I love the beach, man. I love the beach. It's a great place to like meditate, do those breathing practices. um but yeah, man, so visualization practices, I would definitely pair that with conscious breathing. If you're starting out, like, don't get overwhelmed. I know like a lot of this information for someone who like does not know any of this shit, it might be a little overwhelming, but I'm just like tossing up information, take it as you will. I would like start with one and then progress, like add some more practices as you feel fit. But yeah, visualization is like, you are like, when you're doing these breathing exercises, you're visualizing the air as energy. And when you're breathing it in, you could visualize it filling your entire body. And it seems silly. Visualization in general, if you've never tried any visualization practice, but don't knock it till you try it, for real. Like, it
One
makes a
of
difference. It really does. It makes it more powerful.
one of the ways that I visualize is when I inhale, I'll literally see like the words relax or peace or abundance, like just like
Hmm.
going inside of like my nostril and into my body
Yeah,
and whatever specific like body part I feel like needs that, if that makes
that's
sense. So like,
dope.
yeah, dude. So that's one of the things that I do. Or like another one is just like inhaling like love and then like exhaling stress.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. That's a sick one. Yeah, man. Um, yeah, that's good shit. Like, you're inhaling the words, or like the energy, but it's like in the form of words, so it's like more literal.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it like that it just like comes to it, like there's like a placebo effect like within all of us. Like we have the potential for a placebo effect when like maybe you're sick and you take a medicine that they tell you is going to cure you and you're cured, but then you find out the medicine was just like a sugar pill. So there's
Uh-huh.
like an innate healing ability within all of us, and I think like that kind of falls along the same lines as what these practices help us like tap into, is that we have like this incredible like healing potential within us, or this like life force that's here.
Yeah. So explaining, I yes, 100%. But explaining the placebo effect itself, um, that just goes to show how powerful we are. And it's because this reality that we're in isn't exactly how we've been taught. I believe that we have a shit ton of power, and we have the power to create our reality. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
but as far as the placebo effect, placebo is caused by someone believing in something. When you have a belief, your reality will prove it, man. Like
Straight
it
up.
really does. It really does. It's gonna prove that shit because we have so much power. We have the power to alter things with our beliefs. And like really like trace back your beliefs and like really like sit on them and look how they're playing out in your current reality. You know, like it's crazy. Beliefs will change that shit. They'll make you change how you feel too. If a belief is actually a belief, it's not like an entertained thought that's like occasionally coming. It's a strong belief. um my psychic that I see often, her name's Christine. um oh, fuck, she has a really good quote. She tells me this and I'm blanking out on it right now. It's something like a belief is a thought that you think a lot. um that's not exactly it, but it's essentially like that. What is a belief? A belief is like a constant thought on a certain subject, right? It's a constant thought you have on a certain subject.
Yeah, the beliefs are like the software. Like the belief systems are yeah, the programs.
Mm-hmm.
And we're running all of these certain programs all the time.
100%. Yeah. And that's why like what I was speaking about earlier, the first 7 years, like specifically the first 7 years are the most like essential in creating that belief system, although it's still created after those 7 years, but the first 7 years are like
That's the
essential.
foundation.
Yeah. And this is why like everyone can benefit from reprogramming, from diving deep into this shit, because bro, you weren't like you weren't necessarily responsible for like what you were taught in those first 7 years or even after that. You know, most people just like, you know, you fucking absorb and listen to what your parents say, what society tells you as a kid, and like you just kind of fall into it. And so as you get older, you may go through this stage of reconsideration of like, do I really believe that? Like, why do I believe this? Like questioning your beliefs, kind of reforming them. And I think, yeah, it's really essential because everyone should kind of mold their own beliefs on their own rather than, you know, it being handed to them when they're fucking born into this world, you know?
Oh yeah, dude. What are some other ways that we can reprogram ourselves besides like breathing and meditation?
Ooh, shadow work's a good one. And
What's
shadow
that?
work's like it's a big topic. And mm,
Is that
I
like
bel
a like when you see the things that you don't like in others and you realize it's like yourself that you don't like?
yeah, like everyone is a reflection or what you're experiencing in your reality, and the people we come into contact with, they will usually like reflect certain aspects of you. And I've like noticed this firsthand, man. It's like I wasn't. I mean, I've gone through shit and like, you know, I've gone through different phases in life where I was like, you know, more sad than others, or carried around more like resentment and anger and depression. And after I've consciously healed a lot of that, it's crazy how fast and how rapid my reality shifted. It's like the people I ran into like were so much more high vibe and like kind than before, just based off of my own like internal changes that I focus on, like, you know, fixing, for lack of better word. It's not fix, but it's like it's alter. I intentionally altered and healed certain parts of myself, and it's crazy like the effect it had on my reality. And you won't really believe it till you experience it, but I really encourage everyone to do shadow work. And specifically, there are so many ways to do shadow work. Shadow work really refers to like kind of addressing and diving deep into dark aspects of you. And everyone's got dark aspects, man. I don't think we should really shun or condemn the dark aspects in ourselves or others because they are parts of us. And I think we just got to love every part of us, you know? I'm not saying that we can't upgrade those parts or heal um, what needs to be healed, but everyone's got dark aspects, and shadow work is just really diving into our darkness. And there's a lot of ways to do that. There are shadow work meditations. Um, I don't know if this would literally be considered shadow work, but there are, I love hallucinogens. Shrooms are a great healer. And why I bring it up with shadow work is I do believe shrooms are very healing, and it is a form of shadow work if you go into a shroom trip with that intent. Um,
That's the key word, the intent.
Intent, yes, it's a huge keyword. Intent can change anything, man. It's all about intent. It really is. And intent is like defining it so people understand more. It's like basically your will for an event or a situation or any occurrence. It's
Yeah.
like, what do I intend for this shroom experience to give me? Am I intending to heal? Am I intending to improve my nadis, my chakra channels? So many people just have different fucking like reasons for doing things. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people will like use shrooms to party and have fun. And I'm not saying I'm not saying don't do that or do this, but if you're trying to heal, you can do that through hallucinogens, and it's not going to be the same experience with everyone. But if your intent is there, man, that shit can be very powerful. Also, ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is amazing. There are other plant medicines out there that um, are kind of really hard to find information on. Um, the plant medicines I'm talking about have five. I'll just talk about them in like
Go
in
for it.
their you know the molecular compounds
Yeah.
within these plant medicines are like 5-MeO DMT, NM-DMT, regular DMT. That stuff is amazing. It's not for everyone, and shrooms isn't for everyone. And I can't tell you when you're ready or not ready. It's more of like an inner knowing. So if this stuff is calling to you, I definitely recommend like, I mean, it's gonna enter your life if you're ready for it, and if the plant medicine, um, wants you to experience it. It has a way of entering your life. A lot of the times, just like really randomly, and um,
Has it entered your life
just
randomly?
serendipitously. Yeah, yeah. The way that I was first with my first ceremonies, yeah, man, it was just like you wouldn't like the people I met and like how I got there. Like, there's no way like I would have like been able to plan that or like expect that. It happens, man. It happens, and it changed my life. Like, no cap, no fucking cap, man. Like, hallucinogens can transform a person. They meaning like it can heal so much and like open their mind and like do so much positive if the will and the intent is there, you know.
Yeah. Like one of the things that come up as you describe that is knock and the door will be open to you, ask and you shall receive. Like when
Yeah.
you go in with that intent of like healing or of like self exploration, like becoming more familiar with yourself or with like the divine, then that's the path that it's kind of leads you down.
Yeah, yeah, man, it's cool stuff.
Like yeah. Have you ever had an out of body experience?
Yes, I have.
How do you
I
do it?
have. I've had a couple actually.
Like how would I leave my body?
Um, so my first one that I can remember, I was I was actually trying to lucid dream at the time. I was training myself to lucid dream,
Yeah.
and I was just like Googling methods and trying methods. Um, First time I like no, I left my body was it was like when I was in high school, and I was practicing these lucid dreaming methods, and one night I astral projected. And if you don't know about astral projecting, I would there's so much information. I feel like there's so much information on astral projecting these days as opposed to like I don't know 10 years ago. Like the internet is crazy, man. Like there's like progressively like it's almost exponential how much information is
Oh
being
yeah.
offered or being like how much information is accessible these days as opposed to like even a decade ago, like on the internet, on the regular internet, and not talking about the deep web. But
Yeah,
um
exponential is a good word.
yeah, yeah, I feel like it's getting crazy, man. um but yeah, I accidentally astral projected, and it's like a specific feeling, man. It's like it's not like a dream. It feels a lot more real than a dream. And I was like, I did it for like I want to say 4 or 5 seconds, and I got like too excited, and like I was like, what the fuck is going I freaked out like a little bit because I wasn't trying to astral project at the time. I was trying to lucid dream, and I popped right back into my body and woke up.
How do you
um
have a how do you have a successful lucid dream?
um I feel like I know more about astral projecting than lucid dreaming, to be
Oh, okay.
honest.
Yeah, that makes
um
sense if you if you tried to lucid dream and you astral projected instead.
yeah,
So
I mean,
it's not the same thing?
no, they're actually pretty different. My dreams are always pretty vivid though, like really vivid, and they're always in colors, and like they're always like it always feels really real. But I can tell it if I'm consciously like trying to identify if I'm in a dream, I can tell. Um, but I've always had like really vivid dreams, and I if I don't smoke like the night before, I can pretty much remember them.
Dude, I so one time I'm pretty sure this is a dream, but it was a dream that I left my body. Like I floated out of my window and like up my cul-de-sac, and it was just like it was a trip like merging uh two different bedrooms in my life. Like it like was like my old bedroom and then my new bedroom.
Uh-huh.
And it was like I left the the new one and I exited like the home of the old one, which like I grew up in. So that was pretty interesting that I just recalled right now.
Yeah,
But
that is cool.
I don't think I've ever like consciously astral projected.
Yeah, I haven't either. I've only done it a couple times on accident, and both times they were like for like 5 seconds, 4 seconds.
So what lucid dream technique were you using when you
I would
projected?
I was using this technique like basically you do it super often. So you're doing it every hour you're awake of the day. You're doing this every hour. And it's so simple. It's counting to 5 on your fingers, but like looking at your hand, like pairing it with a visual, like counting to 5 on your fingers. And eventually, once you do this, like for a couple weeks, you become trained. And then it's also like an intent that you're like putting into your dreams when you go to sleep. You're like, I'm going to practice this method when I'm asleep. And the whole thing is like, when you do this in your sleep, it won't be typical. It won't be you counting to 5 on your fingers. Sometimes you'll have an extra finger, or when you do the 5 counts, something weird will happen. And that's what I did. Um, it was trippy, man. It was trippy.
What happened?
Oh, that's like when I left my body,
Yeah, okay.
like astral projecting. It was
Yeah.
like 4 seconds.
Okay.
So I did that. It's like kind of fuzzy, but I was sleeping in my living room. It was night out, um, and it was like all black in my living room. No lights were on. But when you astral project, your astral body kind of emits like a blue light. And at the time, I didn't know this, but like I experienced it, and then I came across this information like you know I don't know, like a year ago or so. And then I was like, that makes so much sense because like when I did that for a couple seconds in high school, I was at my home, but like it was when I was attending high school. Um, my living room was fucking black out, but I could still see there was like this blue light that like kind of lit up the room. So it wasn't, you can kind of like visit any area and it's always going to be lit up a little bit because your astral body emits this blue light. So it's like you're your own little flashlight or some shit.
Wow. Yeah, we're all lights. We're
Yeah,
all lights to each
we're
other.
all light energy, all that shit. Oh, and I just something I want to say. Oh yeah, regarding shadow work, people can. I encourage you to like Google this shit because there's so many shadow work methods. And the term shadow work, it sounds dark. I mean, it is inherently dark because you're diving into your darker self, but it's very positive. Shadow work is a very positive, very healing thing. I encourage everyone to do it. And I feel like healing is a constant thing because it's not like you put all this effort into healing and oh, I'm healed for life, I don't have to do this again. That's false because unless you're like living like a hermit and not interacting with anything or anyone, you're gonna have to heal again. You're dealing with other beings, you're dealing with other humans, you're going through like life situations, you're getting hurt, there's just so much going on. So healing is a constant thing. Although like when you first start healing, it's gonna be more intensive, I want to say, because it's like you're healing like the bigger cut that you've never addressed at that point. And then from then on, it's like once you've dealt with that like chunk of initial healing, it's kind of like, I don't want to say smooth sailing, but it's like a lot easier than it was initially.
It's like
But
a
one,
blockage gets removed and allows the flow to happen.
yeah, or it's just like, bro, like a lot of people who start healing, like who are conscious about this and start healing, like what is it? It's like when they're like typically like 20s or older. It's, I mean, times will change and like hopefully people will start younger. But typically what I've observed is like people in their 20s or older, that's when you like you know start consciously healing, start putting into healing yourself. But that's why I'm saying it's a big chunk to be healed at first because you're not healing presently, you're healing all those years that you've lived, like all those years as a child and a teenager and adolescent. You're dealing with all that healing, as opposed to like say you already took care of that and like only a year or two have passed and now you're trying to heal whatever damage occurred in those 2 years. That's going to be like a lot lighter of a load. And that's why I'm saying like that first like jump into healing is going to be the toughest, like straight up is going to be the toughest. And it's never going to be like easy, but that initial chunk is going to be a little tough because there's a lot of shit, man, that we kind of suppress from our early years, like memories that like are fucking buried in there, man, and like they'll come up. It's like, whoa, like I went through that, like I completely forgot I went through that. It's like it's good shit, and then you heal it. But one general method, I just want to bring this one up real quick. One general method, then this isn't like one method fix all. I actually feel like you should try many methods, and everything kind of does every method kind of heals like in a different way in different aspects. But one
Oh,
really
I
cool
like that.
method, yeah, I feel like, yeah, it's not like a one thing fix all. um but one method is you hold your hand over your heart, and it's a visualization practice as well, and it's who you are right now. You close your eyes and you're kind of addressing your child self. So I'm Ryan, I'm gonna address, like my 10-year-old self, for example. And maybe there was something I went through when I was 10 years old. So I'm gonna like close my eyes, put my hand over my heart, like my heart chakra. Imagine like your heart chakra amplifying basically. So like visually, like there's a huge white light, but you're bringing forth your like child self or like your past self, any age really. And so like you visually like bring that version of yourself into the room, and you kind of like talk to it, like, you know like, I know you've been hurt, like, I know the shit you've gone through, but it's all okay, like, I love you, we're strong, I got you. And you kind of like merge that part with you, and then you just kind of sit with it for a while. So it's good with like any traumatic events that people have gone through. You can like, if you know like how old you were, or like if you can kind of like go back and see yourself in that moment in time, that's a really good method.
I did that. Um, like I kind of stumbled upon that. I was looking at myself in the mirror, and I kind of had a flashback of looking at myself in this mirror when I was like 5 or whatever, like super young. And then so that created like that like awareness, and also like
Mhm.
that detachment to be able to have that like point of reference as like the present me and then like the past me. So it was really interesting. I felt like pulled to just like tell my younger me like what I like felt like he needed to hear, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
what I feel like I needed to hear
Hmm.
as a kid. So it was kind of like I was
Yeah.
like empowering my younger self.
Yeah, man, it's amazing stuff. Yeah, no, that's super cool.
Yeah. And another technique for shadow work that I just remembered is when you like watch a movie and whatever character you hate the most, start questioning like why you what you don't like about that character,
Uh-huh.
and like kind of try it on yourself and be like, well, wait, is this, do I not like that because that's a part of me, kind of thing. And then
Hmm.
that's a good like a way to start questioning and to start growing
Yeah.
that awareness.
No, that's actually a really good method. And you could even extend that outside of a movie to everyday life. So
Yeah.
if you encounter someone that you don't like in everyday life, not just a movie, same process. Like, why don't I like them? Really like dive into it. Why don't I like them? What is it about them that pisses me off or ticks me off or upsets me? And real, yeah, just like dive into that.
Yeah, and that's like not to create reasons why you like to hate them even more. It's to like to kind of try it on and like see if that's a reflection of yourself.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I dig what we're talking about, dude. This is like it got deep in the that good realm. What else you want to talk about?
Man, we can talk about anything. I'm
Yeah.
down to even come do this podcast thing another time as well. So this doesn't even have to be like,
Heck yeah.
don't even have to try fit it all in this session.
I got a story for you.
Tell me. I'm stoked.
So, one of the lucid dream practices that I was doing actually a bunch at one time. So, one of them is to see yourself in the mirror, or like whenever you like see a mirror in your dream, usually like the reflection is distorted or altered or abstract in some way. So that like brings that kind of like, oh wait, that's not really what I look like, kind of thing. And then
Yeah.
another way is kind of like what you're talking about, like with your counting of five. It's like Inception, where they had a an object with them and they would check it, like you check the token like throughout the
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
and eventually you'll check it in the dream. So my token was my keys that I always had clipped to my pants.
Uh-huh.
And then the other technique is to actually, yeah, like look at your hands, because there's going to be not looking like hands in this realm.
Yeah.
So anyways, I say all that because in my dream I'm like in my underwear looking at myself in the mirror in the bathroom, and my smile in the mirror was just like freaking huge, like from ear to ear. It was like a
Yeah.
cartoon smile. And I'm like, no, that's normal. and then and then I'm like, wait, do I have my keys? And I reach and I'm like, well, I'm in my underwear. So I wouldn't have my keys on me. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, I gotta look at my hands. And I look at my hands and they're like vibrating like this. And I'm like, no, that's normal too. And so I just like witnessed all the weird stuff.
That's fucking normal.
And just yeah. And I just like accepted it.
Yeah. I mean, what I generally know about lucid dreaming is like you realize you're dreaming within the dream and you can control shit.
Yeah, one time that I
I
had a oh yeah, go for it.
oh go ahead.
One time that I had a successful lucid dream, I was I was riding a scooter over in Old Town Camarillo, and like the vibes felt like Halloween. Like like the lights and like I don't know, like the color of the sky. I think it was like purplish. So it was just like that kind of like a little spooky.
Just spooky vibes.
Yeah. And I'm riding a scooter and I'm thinking like, dang, like I'd be going so much faster if I had a motorcycle. And then all of a sudden the scooter turned into a motorcycle. And I was like, whoa, like I have like am I dreaming? And then that's when I realized that I was dreaming. So then I used the motorcycle to start flying like Hagrid.
Uh-huh. That's dope.
Yeah, dude. So that was one trippy dream.
Yeah, man, dreams are crazy interesting. Crazy interesting.
Yeah.
I don't believe like every time we're dreaming like it's necessarily the dream realm. I think there's some crazy stuff that we don't know. Like, by I say we don't know, I mean like the masses, like the general information that we have accepted. Like, there's just a lot to dreaming, like a lot. It's where your
Yeah.
consciousness goes, man. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy shit.
Some cool do you do like dream interpretation at all? Do you ever like try to interpret your dreams?
Yeah, I have a little journal like right by my fucking bed, like
Heck
in
yeah.
that drawer. I won't definitely I don't do it every night, but it would be beneficial. I do it more with like the dreams I wake up from. I'm like, whoa, like
Yeah,
the really like impactful ones are the ones that I feel like I gotta write down. I
definitely.
dream about I dream about a lot of weird shit, like just random ass shit. But I do have animal totem dreams quite a bit.
What's that?
So it's when you dream. Uh, there's a lot of interpretations too. So I wouldn't like just Google like whatever animal totem you dream, whatever animal totem dream you have, and then just Google it and just accept that interpretation because there are so many interpretations for that stuff. But an animal, so everyone has. I'm a believer. Everyone has animal totems. So it's you can be visited by them in your dream. So like a recent animal totem dream I had was and it was like super powerful, and you'll know when it's those kinds of dreams because you'll pretty much remember them when you wake up from them. Like you'll remember them, you'll feel like different, you'll feel like in the dream it's just like powerful. But I had one about a lion, and it's one I really connect to. And I looked up what the lion animal totem characteristics are, and like the whole point of the animal totem, and it lined right up, man. Um, and the things with animal totems is like some are like think of them as like almost like spirit guides, but not really. It's like their energy is essentially assisting you. So the
Like
line
the
is.
what's that thing from Harry Potter? The Patronus?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's almost like that, I guess. But they all have their like specific characteristics, and some of them like are just some people just have specific animal totems always, and some of them you get and then you kind of lose, or you get and you keep them. Like those are the more temporary ones. Those are the ones where, like, depending on the situation in your life, like, you may like appreciate assistance from a ladybug animal totem, for example, um, or a toad, or whatever totem would assist you in that situation or in that phase in your life. But there are also animal totems that, like, you were born with, and like you have had even before this life, and animal totems that stick to you more. And the ones that are like that for me are like big cats, like lion, Black Panther, like the bigger cat animals. And like I've always been, I've always had that inclination, like even as a kid, like that was like my animal, like the four-legged fur big animals. Those are like my thing, and it makes sense now. But
As you say this, the spikes on your hood seem like a mane.
it does, right? Yeah. Um, yeah, man. No, it's cool shit. It's cool shit. And intent, referencing back to intent, if people want to, like, you're not necessarily going to get this on your first go, but don't give up. If people want to explore their animal totems before they dream, they can put that intent out there. Like, I want to meet my animal totem. I want to connect with my animal totem. And you do that for enough nights, and you'll have a dream about it. A dream about it.
Ask and you shall receive.
Yeah. Yes, yes, sir.
So what does the cat like mean? Like the big cats, does that have a certain kind of
Yeah, man.
wisdom or knowledge with that or what?
Yeah, they're pretty independent in general. They're pretty independent, strong, powerful. Um, Independent is like one of the biggest characteristics, though. And there's a lot of strength with them, and you can even like call upon certain animal totems like with any situation in life. Like, for example, like what's a good one? Like if you're we'll apply it to like music. Like if anyone is feeling like nervous and a little scared before going on stage, um, channel like a lion animal totem, for example, and that lion energy is very courageous, very ferocious, and you channel that, like you will like. The point is not to like fake it. There's you'll know when you like do it. You'll know when you like are really channeling the archetype, when you're really channeling that frequency of that specific animal totem, because you will feel it. It's like you are this animal totem. So like in that example, like you become the lion. And people can Google how to do this and whatnot. It's not that hard. It's just like knowing about it, you know. But
Yeah,
yeah,
dude.
any instance in life, you can channel specific animal totems and whatnot. But there's a lot more for like the big cats. That's just a couple of them. Like they're very like courageous, independent, strong, powerful, cunning. Yeah, I fuck with them.
Are there like mythical animal totems?
Ooh, like dragons, for example.
Sure.
I myself haven't really. I like. I don't knock it. Like I feel like it can definitely be a thing, and like it. Like I don't knock it. I feel like it could be real. As far as like channeling that animal totem energy, like a dragon, for example.
Yeah.
But I've specifically not had that experience yet.
What's another like mythical animal? Like a
Like a
unicorn? I want to think of
unicorn
like a yeah, like
or a
a
minotaur. I don't know if that's really an
wow.
animal. It's more like an altered human, but you know.
Let's talk about archetypes. That you brought up archetypes. That's
Yeah,
a I think like we like there's these just certain characters and characteristics associated with that character that pop up in our culture and in our dreams, like in our movies and TV, in our stories. And
100%.
heck yeah, dude. And you can like we have all of this kind of already like within us. It's part of our like collective programming as like what it means to be human or whatever we are.
Mhm. Yeah. so channeling archetypes can be, it could be animals, for example, like I was just talking about the animal totems. Those can be archetypes 100%, because
Yeah,
it's not just, it's really the energy you're channeling when you're channeling an archetype, when you're choosing to like kind of emulate. But it's not emulation, it's more, it's beyond emulation. It's like you are channeling the archetype when done correctly. um or a
I th-
specific human. Even like people will like, if you're a comedian, for example, and you like, goddamn, like what how can I up my comedian game, how can I be more funny? um in that example, you could channel an archetype of your like favorite comedian. So if it was like, I don't know, who's a good comedian.
like
I'm
Zach
I'm blanking out
Galifianakis.
hard. Yeah, yeah. So Zach, eventually, like with practice, like you can channel his energy if you really focus on it and you do the right methods. That can be an archetype. You can view Zach as an archetype. I personally don't. I like the animal archetype a lot more because it's a lot more abstract and it's not a specific human that you're
Oh,
channeling. It's more, I feel like it's more original and you could put your own flavor into it that way. Whereas a human, it's more like it's not copying, but I I personally just vibe with the whole animal channeling a lot more.
heck yeah, that's pretty cool. I never thought about that before. And you're
Yes, sir.
yeah, you're reminding me like when I was like one of the practices that I had for hip hop was like I would watch live videos of people like Tupac, and I would just like mimic the way that they'd be on stage, like the way
Mm-hmm.
they, and it like helped me. I believe that it helped me tap into whatever made them so great.
Yep. Yep. That's on fucking point, my man. I love watching live sets on YouTube all the fucking time, and it's like kind of like pretend you're on the fucking stage, bro. Like try to like, it's just a visualization thing, but it's like you can feel that. You can feel like the energy shift in you when you're doing that shit correctly, and it's like you can gain stuff from that. Even just watching a YouTube video and like channeling the archetype of whoever's playing that like live set. Obviously, like the bigger, well-known artists are going to be more beneficial if you're trying to, you know, trying to get yourself up in the music game and shit. But you know, it could apply for anything.
Yeah, I think like actors are really good at doing that, like channeling into a warrior when they're gonna like be a warrior on screen, or channeling like royalty, the like the sovereign
Yeah.
when they're gonna be like a king or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's, it's like the best actors will do that. I feel like the best actors, because you're not, if you're doing that correctly, you're not acting. You are that, you know. And then
Dude,
it's just
yeah.
so natural when you're acting, when you're performing in front of camera or on stage or however you act, you know.
Have you seen that thing with Jim Carrey where he's I think it's like Andy, Jim and Andy? Oh, I can't remember. He like he makes a movie about another comedian, and he like channels him, but it got like weird, like how committed he was to like being this other person.
Yeah, I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, dude, it was on Netflix. I don't know if it still is, but yeah, it's with Jim Carrey, and I can't remember. I'm blanking on the other guy's name, but it was pretty like interesting, like, and it made a lot of sense. Like there were points where like the dude he was mimicking, like their family would come, and they got emotional because of how like real it seemed.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, no, that shit's, you can, there's just so much stuff out there, man, that like continues to blow my mind in the best way. In the best way.
Heck yeah.
Keeps it interesting.
Yeah, like I like every day. I feel like every day we should blow our minds.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, if you could manage to do that every day, that's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Like just like all constantly receiving breakthroughs.
Hmm.
But
Epiphanies, little mini epiphanies.
yeah. What do you like how did you like start getting into like self-development stuff?
I would definitely credit that to my first ceremony, or first any ceremony I've had, but it all started with my first ceremony. That's
Oh,
plant medicines I was speaking about.
yeah.
Um, yeah, man. How can I? I'm trying to think of like the best way to articulate this like effectively.
Take your
Like
time.
it's really hard to articulate and get the message across if you've never experienced it, which most people haven't. But any plant medicines like ayahuasca or tepescohite or um, I forget a couple
Peyote.
more. Peyote. I've actually never experienced peyote, but yeah, peyote as well. Um, so I'm gonna be a little vague, but after my first ceremony, it was the most intense, like life altering night of my life. Like it changed my life completely. No fucking cap. Like in the best way, best way. And it
Like you left a
basically,
different person.
yeah, I really did. I did. Um, there's a lot I gained out of it. It essentially the most was like it woke me up. You know, it helped me become more conscious, and like it kind of pushed me into the direction of all this. And I basically realized like how essential healing is, how essential being high vibrational is, how important those things are, and like really the meaning of all this is love. Like love is the goal. It's not making the most money. It's not being the highest status you can achieve in this lifetime. It's really love, bro. Like spreading love, loving yourself, like being in the frequency of love, just promoting that shit, man. Like love is literally like the meaning. Um, I discovered for me that is my truth, and so it woke me up, and I just went down that path, and I'm still on it. I think I know I always will be. It's not. It's like when you're shown what's behind the curtain on stage. It's like you can't forget it. Like you can't like not you can't unsee that. I'm referring to like breaking through, when you break through on like, you know, 5-MeO DMT, NMDMT, DMT. Like you break through, you leave your body, you like see the spirit realm, experience the spirit realm. Like there's no going back. Like once you have that knowledge, once you have the experience, there's no going back. Um, but in the typically like it's very very positive. A lot of people aren't ready for that, and like that's what I'm saying. It's like it's not for everyone, like those experiences. But if you feel the calling and you feel like it's for you, then I recommend it.
One of the one like story that I have of like self-healing like or like loving myself is I used to like always seek love and acceptance and validation outside of me.
Hmm.
Like normally like in my relationships, like my
Yeah.
girlfriends and stuff, or like, you know, like the so I had a like a mental shift like where I was like I know that I want to like do all these things like with this girl as like why don't I just give myself this experience, things like just like going to the movies or whatever it is like and
Uh-huh.
like just like giving myself that love that I think I want with her, but that's just an illusion. So then like I started doing that, dude, and then like it was just like weird kind of how everything else fell into place. Like
Hmm.
like synchronicities like started happening where like things that I kind of wanted to happen, like my desires started showing up, but just in different ways, like slightly different details. I think
I
it,
mean,
yeah.
that's how manifestations happen, man. You gotta just be so open to the form in which they are gonna be received by you. Like, it's not always gonna be how you expect things. As far as like manifestations go, it's like you just gotta be fucking open, and the more open you are, the more open you are to receiving these manifestations. So the universe is, gonna give you them. But 100%, dude, I used to be the same way. Um, and when I didn't get that like love back, when it wasn't reciprocated in the exact same way that like I wanted, um, it was just like you can feel like that disconnect almost. Because when like when you're fucking young, like, oh, everyone's different, but when you're young, it's like that's kind of all you want to do. It's like you grew up with the media like romanticizing relationships in a certain way, or like just what you've been conditioned and taught. But yeah, man, if you love yourself fully, and if you love yourself fully, it's all gonna fall into place. It really is. And it sounds so cliche. Everyone has heard it before, but it's the fucking truth, man. And there's just so many, like, you can find so many examples, man, like why people aren't getting that love that they want. And you gotta give it to yourself first. And it's crazy when you do. Like you've just said, like, I've experienced the exact same effect, where it's like when you give yourself that self-love that like you were giving out before, like expecting from your environment or everything outside of you, when you give that to yourself, everything shifts, man. Like, and it's like it's enough. It's just it's hard. It's hard. It's definitely hard if you've never done it before and like you're learning to do it. It's hard, but it's gonna create a shift. An example is like, someone who's like wanting a relationship so bad, they're like, I'm single, like there's so much good in me, like I have all these badass traits and so much to offer, but no one is loving me. No one's gonna be in a fucking relationship with me. Like, what the fuck's going on? Like, bro, like those people, really, you got to focus on loving yourself and like question, like, why do you want this relationship so bad? Why do you feel like your life needs a relationship? I think that's like, if you feel like you need a relationship, you're not whole. Relationships are great enhancements to have in one's life. Like, it's amazing. Like, it'll amplify love. It should amplify you. It should be healing in some sense. It should, like, what it shouldn't be is giving you the love that you're not giving yourself.
Wow.
But once, yeah, man, I feel like once you give yourself that love fully and effectively, everything will fall into place.
Heck yeah, dude. Do you have any examples of like how things fell into place for you, or like synchronistic happenings?
Yes. I give you, it's kind of silly, but I feel like a lot of people can grasp it. Maybe I shouldn't give that example.
Ah,
I'm like thinking about it now. Um, no, fuck it. Yeah, I'll give a similar example. So as far as like, the women I've attracted before doing all this healing and self-love, as opposed to the women I'm attracting after all this, there is a difference, man. There is a big difference. And it's crazy. Like, I do feel like the people you attract in general are, it's a reason. There's a reason you attract certain people. And if you're finding like you are attracting a specific trait in your life and it's not necessarily positive, there's some digging to be done. Like if you're finding out like every partner of yours is like toxic, or every partner of yours has this negative trait, like there's some digging to be done, because it's something within you that is, it's like a message that's reoccurring. It's like the universe getting you to like work through this shit, or it's just going to keep on repeating, so you got to work through it, do that inner work and whatnot. But yeah, man, that's a really quick example of like just one thing that is like shifted, with that self-love, is like, bro, the girls I attract now, as a as opposed to the girls I've attracted before, very different, a lot, so much more high vibe, so much more healthier, and less toxic, and they have like less traumas that they these girls are more healed. They don't have, it's not that, you know, everyone has traumas, but it's like, are those healed? Are these people like actively trying to heal them? Are they actively trying to grow? And so I'm seeing a lot of that now. It's like these women are like in the same direction as me. Like they're trying to grow, they're trying to heal, they're trying to up level themselves. And it's a reflection, man. It's a reflection.
I like the way you put it. They're trying to up level themselves. Another like interesting thing that I think happens is like the people that like you're close to, that like you're intimate with, like your girlfriends or whatever, it they become often like interwoven with like the manifestations. So just like a lot of like cool badass stuff happens like with these up leveled girls, at least in my case.
Yeah.
So I looked up the brain frequencies of the first years of life. So the first 2 years is delta, which is the lowest EEG frequency range. Between 2 and 6 years of age, the child's brain ramps up into the range of theta. In the theta state, children spend much of their time mixing the imaginary world with the real world. That's a trip, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So delta and theta, and then yeah, the perceptions of the world are directly downloaded into the subconscious during this time, without discrimination and without filters of the analytical self-conscious mind, which doesn't fully exist. Dang, dude,
Damn.
you're
Yeah,
teaching me
man,
things.
it's like, if we are to treat like one age group with the most like love, it's the children of the world. It
Yeah,
really is, because for that reason.
yeah, dude. Like they like, what do you want to? What like moisture do you want to like drip into the sponge? Their spongy brains. Like what little
Yeah.
like I don't know.
Sponges, the little spongies.
Yeah, like SpongeBob. The little bobs. Yo, I watched the SpongeBob movie in Spanish the other day. It was pretty freaking funny.
You know Spanish?
Yeah, a little bit.
That's lit.
Yeah, when
Do they have some whack ass voices for some of the characters? You're just like, why they sound like this?
no, they're all pretty funny. Like one interesting thing about it is you know how they have like the Goofy Goober song? It's like I'm a Goofy
Yeah.
Goober, yeah.
Yeah.
So in Spanish they go soy un cacahuate, and that means like I'm a nut, like I'm a walnut or a peanut. I'm a peanut because they have the peanut hats. Because
Yeah.
yeah, dude, it's a
Because
trip.
they didn't directly translate Goofy Goober. They're just like, fucking peanut.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, you can't really directly translate Goofy Goober because it's like, you know, made up
Yeah.
term. But
Hey, do you know anything about like your ancestors? Like,
um, ancestors.
yeah, like
So, like my specific ancestors, or just like, are we talking in like in general?
I just like I've been recently like turned on to the idea of like what our blood is, like what kind of people were the people that like made me, if that makes sense, like way back.
Yeah. Um, I have like some mixed beliefs on it because I just do. It's stuff that I'm still figuring out, I guess. Um, but direct family is pretty big. I don't know so much about the whole ancestor thing as far as like, generations back, like my ancestors or anyone's ancestors, like that, the importance of that descent. I know it is related to some degree, but I do feel like direct family is a little bit more um, of importance as far as just like this lifetime and what's going on because there's your direct family, and you can experience them alive right now. Um, I do feel like family once passes, they have the opportunity to become your spirit guides or to visit you in this life.
Wow.
My grandma passed away end of last year, and the psychic I see, her name's Christine. She told me the other day, like she's visiting you like all the time. She's like protecting you. Um, I'm a believer in that, and not just because like of that experience, but um, when someone dies and they enter the spirit realm, and whatnot, it makes a lot of sense at the same time that they can like come back, intervene, protect. Um, that's my belief, though. Like, it's not for everyone. What do you think?
I would so when like how you say we like we live multiple lives. So
Mm-hmm.
do the lives we come back as like is that not family, or is that like you know what I mean? Like are they related like only in the conscious level or like
So
blood?
yeah, so what to my understanding, of all that is we will choose. So like when before we're born in this life, we choose to come here. It's a choice everyone agrees to. That's why you're here right now. Um, and you will incarnate with certain people depending on a vast array of reasons. So one of the reasons could be, oh, we were best friends in like our last life. I think it'd be really cool if we were born into the same family as brothers and sisters in this life, or brother and brother. Like you're not always going to be a man or a woman. Like your gender in the physical realm, in this physical realm, isn't always going to be the same. It could be more times like one over the other, but I don't think it's always going to be the same. Like I'm not always going to be a man, and I don't think I've always lived as a man in every lifetime I've had. Um, but yeah, so like before we incarnate, before we choose to like you know live here, live this life, we have choices, and one of them is like who's your family going to be, what family are you going to like incarnate into. And there are a lot of reasons. So it could be a best friend, it could be an enemy from a last lifetime, and you both like have come to this agreement where like let's settle this, let's be born into a family together so we can kind of settle this difference.
Wow.
And it's not necessarily successful every time, but like that's the intent sometimes. Or it could even be, I choose to be born into this random family I've never had like a connection with, and I choose to go through certain, like some people need to go through certain experiences even if they're not positive, because that's going to assist their growth later on in their life. So that can also be a big thing for people who feel like they can't really like connect, or they don't have that like connection with the family that they have right now. It's like there are so many reasons, man. There are so many reasons, and it's not always going to be the same. Um, but yeah, I do feel like we always agree to certain conditions before we are incarnated here.
The first time I
And
heard the concept of like you choose, like you choose your parents. I like like it touched me, dude. It made me cry. I was like, dang, like, because I feel like I've had, like, you know what I mean, like a positive impact in their lives in certain
Yeah.
ways. And I know, like, I just like get so much from them, like, you know what I mean, just like the lessons I've learned and stuff. And it's like it was an interesting, like vantage point to think about it, to see it, if like I chose this life with these effects beforehand.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting stuff. For sure, for sure.
So one ways that I think about reincarnation is like, I don't know about you, but like, or like, I don't know, so you, like, after your first ceremony, like, it felt like you were like a different person, right?
I
Or
mean,
you know
I
what I
knew
mean,
I
like,
was the same person.
yeah,
It's just like what I said was like a good analogy is like looking behind the curtain. And
okay,
because I've looked behind the curtain, I'm aware of these new, or I have this new perspective because of this newfound knowledge and information and new experience
yeah,
I've gone through.
okay, yeah, yeah, I feel you.
So
So
it's not
yeah,
that I'm like I'm the same person. I've just like altered myself from that
yeah,
point on
it's
dramatically.
like a transformation.
Mhm.
So I think about, like, throughout my life, I've had, there's like different Omars, and like they're different incarnations of Omar. So like so like this one that I am now, like, isn't exactly the same Omar I was last year, but that's like where I came from, if that makes sense. So it's like I'm like
Yeah,
constantly transforming, like,
bro.
and
It's not even. Sometimes it's not even like yesterday. Like I'm
yeah,
in a different mind than I was yesterday or an hour ago. It's like that's kind of the point, you know, is to evolve, is to progress as a person and to transform, to upgrade yourself in all, you know, all facets of you. Uh, I think that that's the point, man. Is like to fucking grow.
hmm,
Because if you're not growing, what you're stagnant. You're just saying
it's
you're
true.
just stagnant energy.
Yeah, if you're not growing, you're dying like a plant.
I mean, and it's like everyone grows at different rates too. So it's not
Yeah,
like, bro, like you don't have to. There's some days or like weeks where you need time off from all this, and like I think like really listening to your body and like just feeling what's right, like using your intuition and feeling things out a lot of the time is huge. You know, it's like you really don't want to be so hard on yourself and put so much pressure on yourself, but at the same time you don't want to put zero pressure. It's like that middle ground, and it's just finding that balance. Balance is with like so much, man. But yeah, I do think it's like finding that balance.
heck yeah. How how you doing? Do you feel like you want to wrap this up, or you
Yeah,
want
we can wrap this up.
to? All right. This is
Yeah, dude,
awesome, Ryan.
I'm down to do this. Just hit me up. We'll do another one of these.
Heck yeah. Yeah, this was awesome. Very
Yeah, man, I
stimulating.
enjoyed talking, enjoyed chatting with you.
Yeah.
Thanks for
All
having
right.
me.
Heck yeah. Anything you want to let them know before we sign off?
Um, nothing's coming to mind, but
A positive message or anything?
oh, positive message. Um, okay, so I think since we're all in quarantine, a lot of people are having downtime. And this doesn't really go out to the people who are essential workers because your life's practically the same. You're still working, but like the majority of people, like you're at home most of the time. Um, a good use of this time that I recommend, um, bro, get into meditation, get into yoga. Like those two things, it will take you, if you dedicate an hour each day in total, so like 30 minutes yoga, 30 minutes meditation, you have that time. Like all of us pretty much have that time because we're in this quarantine shit. You have this time. So you're going to, I really encourage everyone to dedicate like just an hour, man. 30 minutes yoga, go on YouTube. A really great channel for this is Yoga with Adrian.
Yeah, dude.
She's like the number one thing that'll pop, like the number one channel that'll pop up if you just YouTube yoga, just the word yoga. Her videos are amazing, and she has so many different kinds of videos. And they're like, if you just want to do a 10-minute practice or like a 20-minute, they're sorted by length, by what parts of the body it's going to work on. Really recommend that.
I've experienced a lot of healing from her videos.
She's great. I love her vibes, man, and like how she teaches. Because there's some other yoga videos I've watched. It's just like, this is too dry, and this is just like, it's just not feeling the best. It's more just like, it's like flashbacks of being in in public school. It's like someone's just like, do this, do this, do this. But her videos, I love her videos. Like, it's
Yeah,
it's very
same.
natural and fluid, good vibes. But yeah, bro, like, people are watching this, go on YouTube, look up her videos. Just look, check out my setup. Check out my setup right
Let
now.
me see.
Let me see if I could how do I flip this fucking camera?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, there we
Yeah.
go. Bro, I got a fucking mat right here in my room,
Heck
and
yeah.
I just follow along to the TV. It's so simple.
Yeah,
So
dude.
fucking simple. You don't need, I mean, we can't go to gyms right now, but like, you don't need to go yoga class. You can't, obviously can't even go yoga class right now. But like, it is so simple. It's free too. YouTube is free, man.
Yeah.
You don't even
Free
need a yoga.
healing.
You can use your carpet, but I recommend a yoga mat. It's got that grip. It definitely helps out.
Yeah.
But yeah, bro, like 30 minutes of yoga, 30 minutes of meditation. And if you've never meditated before, I really recommend some guided meditations on YouTube. There are so many, and they're all free.
Yeah.
You know,
You know what yoga means?
what does it mean?
It means union.
Hell yeah, union with body and spirit,
Yeah, or body and breath, or human and the
or just
divine.
everything. Just like connecting all that you are in one activity.
Yeah, dude. And I think it's
Yeah.
like a like union with the divine also.
Hmm.
And then you know what meditation means?
What?
To
What does
become
it mean?
familiar with.
Or the process of getting to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And yoga, like, well, what I'm recommending people is to do this specific, like, on the mat type of yoga. But there are different kinds of yoga, dude. Like, yoga can be done like throughout your day. There's like, what's an example? I feel like even performing on stage is yoga,
Mm.
because that's like, if you're incorporating all that you are into one activity, like, you're combining your physicality with your mental, emotional, and spiritual. To me, that's like on stage, and maybe that's why it feels so fucking amazing, or that's my calling in life. But I feel like there's stuff like that that's not necessarily yoga on the mat that is yoga.
Yeah, like singing is union with your body and breath and like that spiritual element of like creation.
Yeah, yeah. 100%.
100.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess that's my message for everyone having to stay at home and quarantine this shit. Yoga and meditate 30 minutes each day,
Yeah.
and notice how different you're going to feel in, like, I'd say if you do 2 weeks, you will definitely notice a difference. But just try 1 week, 1 hour every day, 30 minutes this, 30 minutes that. Try it. This shit's fucking sick. You're gonna love it. You really are. It's
Yeah.
just 1 hour of your time. You're gonna be watching Netflix or some shit anyways. Like, you might as well use this time to, like, up level yourself, like, better yourself.
Heck yeah, dude. Let's all up level and evolve and continue to grow. All
Fuck yeah.
right, Ryan. It was a pleasure having you. We'll
Pleasure,
talk
man.
again soon.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. Love you. Have a great night.
You too, man. Peace out.